Trump responded to the civil fraud verdict in a predictable manner. This is what he had to say. Quote, a crooked New York state judge working with a totally corrupt attorney general who ran on the basis of I will get Trump has just fined me $355 million based on nothing other than having built a great company, election interference, witch hunt. As with other derogatory claims made by Trump about people who displease him, he offers no evidence that the judge is crooked or that the AG is totally corrupt. Name-calling is his alternative to convincing people with accurate factual information. Trump also made this comment, quote, this decision is a complete and total sham. There were no victims, no damages, no complaints, only satisfied banks and insurance companies, which made a ton of money, end quote. That statement and others made by Trump work on his uninformed voters who will, by choice, remain uninformed. But it will have no effect on the appellate court if Trump's lawyers actually make the claims in appellate briefs or during oral arguments before the appellate court. Why is that the case? Even if the banks were paid back on their loans, the legal issue is whether the fraudulent financial statements resulted in deals occurring which would not have happened but for the fraudulent statements, or the payments of much lower interest rates on bank loans. The disgorgement ordered by the judge is, as the law requires, based on ill-gotten gains, including reduced interest rates on loans and profits from two deals that would not have occurred without Trump having lied about his financials. In the prior video, I discussed how Trump overstated his triplex apartment in Manhattan by claiming it had 30,000 square feet, rather than the actual square footage of 10,996 square feet. Another fraudulent valuation was made in connection with the Mar-A-Largo resort. Valuation was based on what this property could be sold as a private residence. However, the right to use the property as anything other than a social club had been given up by Donald in prior documents signed by him. In 1995, Trump signed a deed of conservation and preservation, which he gave up the right to use the property as anything other than a social club. In 2002, and in order to reduce his property taxes on the property, Trump signed a conservation easement and deed that, in addition to preventing the use of the property as anything other than a social club, prevented the subdividing of the property for any purpose, including use of single-family homes or any interior renovation on the property that may be desirable for the sale of the property as a single-family estate. The documents were concealed, of course, as you would expect, from the appraiser who was asked to value the property as a single-family residence. The end result was this property's valuation was exaggerated by hundreds of millions of dollars. Trump testified that he valued the property at $1 billion to $1.5 billion, which ignored the perpetual restrictions on the property discussed above, that it could only be used for a social club, in prohibiting any renovations that would be desirable to transform it into a private residence. And even if you accepted that those restrictions didn't exist, his price was 400% above the most expensive private residence ever sold in the United States. About what you would expect Donald to say and do. Some of the financial arrangements required a certain amount of cash to be available. One source of cash on the financial statements was a Trump partnership interest in a Verdado partnership. That interest was not cash, even though it was classified as cash on the financial statements, was not liquid, and Trump had no control over the partnership. On another issue, Trump has a golf course in Aberdeen, Scotland, that value was based on Trump having permission to build 25 single-family residents when permission had only been granted for 500. The valuation was also based on an assumption that the residence had already been built and did not account for any development or construction costs that would be necessary to make the hypothetical residence a reality. The actual appraisal from a firm called Ryden, R-Y-D-E-N, estimated that the maximum profit for each home would be £33,296. Trump did not use that appraisal, but claimed that the profit would be £83,164 based on an anonymous email that he received. I'm going to discuss some of the other issues in a later video.